Hi there, and thank you for participating in our study. My name's Mark, and I'm going to give you a quick introduction to how to use StriSynth in this study. To begin with, we're going to connect to the remote Windows machine in which we'll be doing this study. You've been given credentials to log in, so choose your favorite remote desktop client, and we can get started. After you log in, we're going to be opening two PowerShell windows. It's important that you open two PowerShell windows and keep them open for the duration of the study, as this is part of the way we'll be collecting data. In one PowerShell window, we're going to be using StriSynth, and the other we're going to be using PowerShell. So to start up PowerShell, we're first going to move into the string solver directory. From there, we're going to type sbt console, and we can get started. This is going to take a bit of time, so let's switch over to what we're going to use as our PowerShell console. Let's again move into the StriSynth string solver directory and move into task 1. So we're going to be completing task 1 in order to demonstrate how to use StriSynth. Inside of task 1, we see we have a couple files. And what we're going to be aiming to do with these files is to move them to a new file name, to rename them with a capital A at the end of the file, and change the extension to txt. So inside of StriSynth, we can do this by typing the keyword new. New starts up the StriSynth learning environment in which we can begin to give examples to StriSynth from which it will produce a transformer that will help us write this script. So the example we have is we want to move foo.txt to, or from foo.txt, we want to generate a command in which we move foo.txt to foo capital A.txt. And since we'll later be executing this, we'll just put a semicolon so that all these commands are concatenated together or executed one after another. So it says beginning to learn transform, and once it's done learning it, we get a little description of what that transformation is. So we can test out the learned transformation by giving it a input. And we see that transform will successfully execute or generate the command that we're interested in. So let's try it on some of the other inputs. So the other files we have inside of task 1 are, for example, bar.doc. So let's see how bar.doc works. So that almost worked, but it didn't change the extension to txt. So we're going to need to provide StriSynth with some more examples. So let's use bar.doc as our example. And we'll say that we will like to generate a command from this that moves bar.doc to bar.a.txt with a semicolon there. Cool. So we see here we've again got a English description of the learned algorithm. So we've updated our transform algorithm. You can see that the description is different from the one seen above when we only gave it one example. And actually, if you look at the description, you can see at the end, we're concatenating a.txt to the end of all of them, whereas before we were using the first input starting at the first period, or the extension of the given file. So let's try our new transformation on bar.doc, and we see that is giving the desired input. So this will be good. Let's go ahead and save our transformation. So this assigns the transformation that we've learned so far to a variable so that we can reference it later on in the program. And we are going to want to export our export our transformation in the language of PowerShell to a script within the task1 directory called script.ps1, which is the extension for a PowerShell script. So if we go back into our task1 directory, you can see we now have our script. So in order to run this, we're going to run script. We're going to run script, and we're going to give to it a listing of all the files in the directory. And because PowerShell uses a object-based language for scripting, we need to select out which property we would like from this listing here. And so we're interested in the name. So you see, it seems to work, but we only got the result for this first listing. The reason that is because a transform takes a string to a string. And if we would like the transform to operate on the entirety of this list, we're going to have to use T as map. So as map is a keyword, and all of these types and keywords are described in your study handout, so you can take a look at that. So we're going to now overwrite our script and send T as map in PowerShell to task1 / script. Cool. So obviously it's still here. So let's try running it again. And we've generated all the commands. You'll notice we've generated a command to actually move the script, which is not exactly what we wanted, but for the purpose of this study, you can just ignore that, let it go, it doesn't matter. You won't be asked to actually execute these scripts. It's enough to just generate the script. So if you have any questions, you can email one of us as you progress, or contact us for any questions you have after the study. Best of luck, and thank you again.